What's going on, YouTube? Different video today. I'm out walking in the nature. If you follow me on Instagram at parker.moves, you will be familiar with this style of video. However, the purpose of this video is just what is going on in the world. Like, not on what I was talking about in the past videos from a few days ago, but I don't know. I'm 22. COVID hit when I was 16. So remember, 17, because I got my license, my full license. I don't know if you know how that works in Canada, but the week COVID hit was the same week of my full driver's license test. So that just added an immense layer of pressure. Safe to say your boy got her done though. But I don't know. There's COVID, whole global pandemic, masks, vaccines, world shut down. No one's allowed outside. No one's allowed to do anything. And then randomly there's a vaccine and you can go out, and it just is like, not that everyone, if you know, goes back to normal. But it seemed like after this random vaccine, everything remained normal, or that pause button was no longer. And then, after that, starts to come out with AI. There is this thing called ChatGPT and these Sora AI videos that are starting to linger and starting to kind of get in the way of what's real and what's not. There is now obviously there is a war going on in the world. There's nothing, I guess it's not like that's not happening. I just don't want to talk about it more than I have already in previous videos. Not that I've even talked about it in depth. If anyone would like that, I am very knowledgeable when it comes to these areas. Just like all these videos, how I say it's good to be aware, good to have the correct knowledge. I do pride myself in my knowledge towards a lot of these subjects, so comment down below and I can talk about certain things. However, on top of that war, and I guess all those things do kind of combine together, right? The Epstein file stuff, the political stuff, and the Great Awakening stuff. It's just, what's going on? What are they trying to hide, or who is they, and what's going on? Does anyone else feel like that? Because if you do, you should definitely follow me on Insta and send me a message. I'd love to shoot the shit with you and just start a relationship, because again, that's the whole point of me building this page, right? Something genuine and real. But it just seems very odd at times. And I hate to be that guy to blame things on external objects. However, I would like to highlight the inflation in our late teens to early 20s. How ridiculously expensive everything is. Just so happens the time you are supposed to, not that you're supposed to, but society definitely paints a picture that you're supposed to make these bigger life decisions in that duration of time in your life, being late teens to early 20s. Being, if you want to get a mortgage or get your first real apartment, or get a vehicle or a lease on a nicer vehicle, or anything like that. I'm never going to do any of that in Canada for personal reasons. I could talk about again, if you want a video about that, how, again, to the average person who hasn't done much info gathering on their own in the online space, in the e-commerce world, or like e-learning industry, or anything in that, what I'm about to say may sound crazy, but I'm hoping by 25 to remove my residency from Canada and set up in one of these countries like the UAE, Cyprus, or for the United States, Puerto Rico, for tax purposes. And why I say that is, obviously it's good to save the money, but I have personally in my own network of entrepreneurs 4 to 5 different licensed tax professionals, overseas tax accountants, whatever the heck they want to call themselves. I've seen them, I've had dinner with them, shook hands, helped them with content, and vice versa. Good fellas. They obviously charge a fee for their service, just makes sense. However, that fee makes a whole lot more sense to spend when I'm 25 versus 75 years of Uncle Sam the tax man in Canada, where you don't really see many benefits. You don't have too much of a free speech, I guess you could say. The potholes are all over the road. People are just angry and rude, and maybe I'm just sounding like a negative Nelly here. However, being in my prime years, I notice these things. And personally, this is just a personal preference. I don't want to contribute to that. I don't want to surround myself with that. So, yeah, Dubai, a bunch of my friends live in, and a lot of my friends who are these licensed tax accountants, overseas licensed tax accountants, set it up primarily in Dubai, but Cyprus is another option. Where else? Cyprus and the UAE. I think UAE is just the easiest, but obviously there's pros and cons to doing this, guys. But I could just make a video on that. I feel I've already talked about this too long. But yeah, I guess all of these reasons, or all these things I am talking about, all formulate together, I guess you could say, in regards to just provoking my question. What's going on? Because why do I need to do that? Not that I need to, again, sorry, that might have been too forward. Why do I feel like I would be best to do that? I guess maybe a better way to phrase that. Like, I don't know. As a white man in a first world country, I don't know. There should be like reasons, or more reasons, or I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. It sounds a little harsh thinking these words and saying them aloud, because obviously Canada is a beautiful country. It's clean, it's safe, there's friendly people, clean air, a bunch of things, and it was an amazing childhood growing up. But I'm in a new chapter in my life where I see things I maybe didn't see when I was younger, and I'm trying to be a lot more precise with my everyday moves. And if I'm looking at the long term effect of everything I'm doing and just looking at the long game, it just seems like a lot of things are out to kind of not get you, but just keep you in a snow globe almost. You can go out and do some things and see things and get the things in the snow globe that are there and whatever, but there's a wall and there's a dome holding you in from certain levels of success. Now, define success. It's going to be different for everyone, right? I'm not ignorant to that fact. However, success to me is having the ability to go where you want, do what you want, see who you want, and be able to help out who you need to, or your loved ones, or who you want to help out. It doesn't really matter who, just whoever you want, when you want, without having to think about it or stress about it. And obviously, to be able to do all those things, you need money. And money runs the world somehow, even though the US dollar actually has no real value. Again, can make another video on that. Let me know. There's a bunch of rabbit holes that are all connected, but that's not the purpose of this video, because a lot of what I preach is stop engaging with that content. But if you want someone who sounds, at least, I think I sound at least credible, or I sound like I have some knowledge towards these subjects, let me know, and I'm more than happy to help. But at the end of the day, guys, you just gotta realize there are most definitely things restricting you from doing certain things in this world. However, that's not to say you are completely limited. What I mean by that is, sure, maybe you do feel like you're in a globe at times, or maybe, you do feel like things are out to get you and everything's stacked up, and everything I talked about, you definitely resonate, or you feel the same way at times. Like, sure, but what are you gonna do about it yourself? You're gonna sit there and complain, moan and groan, or you're gonna get up and do something and realize that if you switch certain habits and structure your life differently, it's gonna look a lot brighter. Hopefully you understand what I'm trying to get at here. And as always, guys, be kind to one another, hit that sub button, and I'll see you in the next one.